The Lair of the White Worm is a 1988 British horror film directed by Ken Russell, starring Hugh Grant and Peter Capaldi, and it hits Vetron Blu-ray release on 26th of February. The story revolves around this ancient legend about this family whose ancestor kind of slayed this dragon, this big white dragon. And every year they do this celebration to kind of, commemorate it. Now obviously they look at it as just a myth, but it turns out it was actually true. And when an archeologist, played by Peter Capaldi, unearths the head of something resembling this dragon, everything starts going a little bit weird. And this woman, played by Donahoe, comes into proceedings, and she's kind of like this snake woman. She's got a lot of kind of snake characteristics, and she starts to orchestrate certain things in order to bring about the return of this devil, really. The lizard from the Garden of Eden story. She sees it as the one true God. And she sees the Christian God, the Jewish God, as a false God. She's trying to awaken, essentially, Satan, the devil, the serpent. Now, this being a Ken Russell film, there is a lot of nudity in this. This isn't the film I was expecting, though, I must say. I've only seen one previous Ken Russell film, which was Women in Love. I get why people like that film. I get why people rate it highly, though it's not really something I particularly want to watch again. And this one, it's a strange one, it must be said. It's a strange beast, because at first I thought I was watching a serious horror film, and then as the film goes on, there's a moment where something clicks and you realise you're not watching a serious horror film, you're watching a spoof, you're watching something that you are meant to laugh at. And the moment you realise that, the film becomes highly enjoyable. I don't think that's unintentional. But like I say, a lot of nudity here. Ken Russell, bit of a pervert, I gotta say, if I'm being perfectly honest. A lot of the way he shoots things kind of has a bit of a porn director vibe from it. I could imagine him coming from porn, and looking into his history, I think he may have started there, I don't know. But yeah, a lot of soft focus, a lot of kind of lingering on certain things, just makes me a bit uncomfortable at times when I'm watching it. But then the other stuff in the film, is quite interesting. I like the story. This is based on Bram Stoker's final novel, and Ken Russell's obviously reworked it, tweaked it, and whatnot, made it his own. And it does definitely have a Bram Stoker vibe to it, in the sense that it feels like a vampire movie. We've got this woman, this Donahoe character, and she essentially is a vampire, only they've made her a snake woman instead. But she has the fangs, these snake fangs that are essentially just elongated vampire fangs, and a lot of the elements, her sleeping during the day, kind of coming out more at night, it's essentially a retelling of a vampire story. I do like Donahoe in this, I gotta say. She's very committed. A lot of the nude scenes in it involve her, and I could imagine for any actress some of the stuff she has to do in this being very embarrassing. And there are a couple of moments, one in particular where she's got to kind of dance to this music, because she's a snake, she can be charmed like a snake. So there's one point in the film where they play music and she's kind of drawn to it and she starts dancing. It looks a little bit embarrassing for her, but then there's other scenes that, again, like I say, they should be embarrassing for any actor or actress to do, but she commits wholeheartedly, and you don't see that embarrassment on her. If it's there, she certainly hides it well. I do like the mythology that Russell's built up as well around this character, the way they dip into the biblical origin of man, and they look at the serpent. They take this the ultimate villain, really, isn't it? The devil, you don't get any bigger than that. They never really call it the devil, they call it this white worm or whatever, but that's essentially what they're dealing with. And at one point, when they kill this thing, you do have to kind of question the validity of their methods. Can you really kill the devil by blowing him up? I don't know. It kind of reminds me a little bit of the previous Vestron release that I've just reviewed, The Gate, in which they blow up this demon with a missile. It don't make a right lot of sense. Now, because the film is set in Derbyshire, it does sometimes creak under the weight of certain accents. We've got these two main characters in here, these sisters, and they've got a little bit of an Ayupchuk vibe about their accent, and it kind of feels a little bit, I don't know, I guess I'm just not used to hearing that accent in a horror film. And then when you've got Hugh Grant and Peter Capaldi who don't have those accents, it just seems to jump out at you from the screen. But I think it also adds to the humour. Again, like I say, once you recognise that this isn't a straight up horror, it's also a comedy. There's some dream sequences in this, some like vision sequences, and some kind of work, some kind of don't. There's like really wacky effects going on where they've kind of pieced things together with green screen, and it kind of works, but it doesn't. Like, you look at it and you think that looks tacky, it looks rubbish, but in a good way. It kind of suits what they're going for. It suits this crazy vision that particularly that this woman is having. So yeah, it does work on one level, even though you can look at it and say, yeah, that kind of looks rubbish. There's some effects later on in the film as well where we see the white worm and it's down a tunnel coming up. That all looks pretty good, how they've done that. And they're on a limited budget here. This isn't a huge budget blockbuster. There's another vision that takes place on this aircraft. Hugh Grant's character is having this vision, and he goes up on this aircraft where Amanda Donahoe's character is, and the other two girls, and it's a bit weird. Again, that whole kind of porn angle seems to come in. Not because it's pornographic, don't get me wrong. I wouldn't be watching it in that if it was, but it just has that kind of pervy vibe about it that I guess only Ken Russell could bring. It doesn't quite work for me, that scene. The vision just feels a bit amateurish. It feels like a student film. As for the special features on this Blu-ray, again, like with The Gate, they've jam-packed this package, and I think if you like this film, or even if you don't, but you do like to learn about the making of films, then this is definitely a good one. There's a commentary here by Ken Russell himself. I didn't think he was still alive. I don't think he is. So yeah, this must have been recorded quite a while back. But yeah, he's quite entertaining, it must be said, to listen to. He's very self-deprecating. He clearly knows that what he's made isn't Citizen Kane, and he's quite able to joke about it and laugh about it, and I kind of admire that quality in him. There's an interview with one of the lead actresses, Sammy Davis, in this, and that's pretty entertaining as well, hearing some of her stories, and she obviously has a lot of love for Ken Russell, but yeah, just hearing some of the anecdotes she has, as well as the editor. Again, another interview on here. Like I say, this is pretty jam-packed with extras, decent ones, The interview with the editor is pretty decent, hearing how he got involved in the project and how he handled Ken Russell at times, because Russell was known to be quite a tricky director. A lot of people would kind of run to the hills from him. They were quite scared of him on set and things, but yeah, you get a different picture listening to these two people, listening to this editor and the actor and the stories they have to tell. So yeah, if you like this film, this is definitely a decent package, really good package to check out. The film itself, it's an interesting one. It stuck with me for a few days. I kind of mulled it over, and I think I would give it a 3.5 now. When I first watched it, I wasn't too sure, it must be said, but it is one that I've thought long and hard about. I'm not too enamoured with some moments in it. I'm not one for nudity and sex and all that. But I think there is enough of a mythology here and a story and some interesting characters and humour to kind of bump it and elevate it above the more tackier moments. If you've seen The Lair of the White Worm, I'd like to know what you thought about it. Also, if you're a fan of Ken Russell, bearing in mind I've only seen 2 of his films, what would you say is his best work? What should I check out of Ken Russell's work? Comment below, let me know, and until next time, cracking.